In most movies involving dinosaurs, the main selling point are these animals going out of their way to devour a person, even though it's not worth it. While it is certainly true that there are a lot of dinosaurs that would hunt us, most real theropods wouldn't put in even half the amount of effort as the ones in modern cinema. As a matter of fact, the dinosaurs that you think would be the greatest threat to humans would probably just turn away at the very sight of us. One example of this is the T-Rex. Almost every dinosaur movie rated PG-13 or up has a T-Rex in it that is depicted as the manslayer out to get us. Jurassic Park is one of those examples, with Rexy chasing down a car just so that she can get her jaws around some man meat. Now, I'm not saying a T-Rex won't eat us, because like all predators, they won't turn up the opportunity for an easy meal, but if it saw you and you saw it, chances are that it won't go through the trouble of a chase because it knows you're faster, and if you are being chased by it, you could always seek refuge in a decently sized building. So dinosaurs you'd have to worry about are the ones that could crouch down and follow you inside of said building. Some of these dinosaurs have been shown in cinema, but majority are usually overlooked by the megatheropods. In this video, I'm going to discuss what dinosaurs would actually hunt us if humans had to coexist with them, and why we would be a main food source in some instances. I gotta say, I was a bit surprised to not see that many videos about this topic, other than the Vividend's video, who does an amazing job explaining which theropods would pose the greatest threat to us. Just before we start, I gotta let you know more than 80% of you who watch these videos are not subscribed. How do you expect me to afford the very ramen I need for sustenance if you don't? Alright, it's not that deep, but it would mean a lot if you can still hit that subscribe button, because it does help me continue making videos like this. And as I always say, if the content isn't for your liking, then you could always revoke that subscription. I think that's a long enough intro. Let's finally take a look at the theropods that would actively hunt humans if we were on their radar. The first group of theropods are the members of the Ceratosauриdae family, with the most famous member of this group being the Seratosaurus. The Ceratosaurus itself, I think, has 2 or 3 different species, the 2 most notable being the Nasicornis and the Dentisylcatus. I probably butchered that name. However, this still isn't confirmed, as it's still generally thought that these different species are just the different growth stages of the Nasicornis. On average, this animal was 5 to 6 meters long and 550 kilograms, with some of the very largest pushing 8 meters and 960 kilos. At that size, it would rival some of the largest polar bears on record. There are other lesser species of this family like the Saltriovenator and the Geniodectus, I butchered that name too, both of which are decently larger than the Ceratosaurus itself on average. While they may have varied in size and some even lived in different periods, most had the same issue, which was being almost second fiddle to its ecosystem's top carnivores. For the Ceratosaurus, it was the Allosaurus and Torvosaurus, while for the Geniodectus, the Tyranotitan was the biggest op it had to be on the lookout for. They aren't pushovers by any means though, and could attack larger prey if it came down to it, but smaller and more medium-sized prey would have been the ideal choice. This is where we come in. Polar bears are one of the few animals that actually see humans as food, and will stalk us for days in some cases, and most members of this family are about the same size as a very large polar bear, and sometimes larger. Without weapons, humans are kind of the punching bags of the animal kingdom when it comes down to a fight. Our best attributes are our intelligence and blunt force trauma we can cause, like throwing punches, but this won't do much to deter an animal that can gut you like a fish. The Ceratosaurus itself is thought to have mainly fed on fish and sometimes crocodilomorphs of its ecosystem to avoid competition from the larger theropods, but they wouldn't give up the opportunity for a hairless biped with no claws, teeth, or tough skin to defend itself. I could see an animal like Ceratosaurus living in areas like Florida's Everglades. All of its waterways and marshes would provide a good replica for its original home, aside from the conifer forests and plains of course. Similarly to how bears and other wild animals can travel into human settlements or approach us when comfortable, this animal would see an 80-kilogram being in front of it that looks like a juvenile Camptosaurus and run it down. These guys can run anywhere between 20 and 27 miles per hour, which is faster than the average person, and while it may not have the largest hands, they would be more than enough to hold you in place as the jaws do the rest of the work. There is literally nothing that can be done to fight off an animal of this size, and with how easily we can be torn apart, the theropod would make short work of the average healthy adult. Obviously, in a real life setting, some sort of government intervention would come into effect if it somehow lived naturally in the world. The same action that's taken against tigers or lions that eat people would be taken here, which is putting down the offending animal or somehow relocating it. Over time, they would learn to fear humans like most wild animals, but won't shy the chance of turning us into an easy meal. The next family of theropods is even less known than this one, despite them in my opinion being way cooler. The Megaraptors, or Megaraptorans as they are more commonly known as, are a genus of theropod dinosaurs that would be the definition of nightmare fuel if you are not a dinosaur in the same time period. While the name may make it sound closely related to raptors, they aren't actually the raptors we think about. The raptors most people think about fall under the Dromaeosauridae family and usually have the trademark sickle claw on the foot. It's not really known what the Megaraptors are more closely related to. Some say Allosaurs and some say the Tyrannosaurs. Whatever the case, these guys have a sickle claw of their own like the Dromaeosaurs, only with them it's on their hands, and some are the size of an actual sickle. These guys can vary greatly in size, with the largest approaching megaceropod levels of mass. The Maiop Macrothorax,
that's not how you pronounce that,
was a colossal animal weighing 3 to 4 tons, which should be illegal, especially considering how fast it could run for an animal that large. Imagine seeing a 4-ton dinosaur with the mouth of a Doberman and the claws of Freddy Krueger running straight towards you at more than 20 miles per hour. As badass as the Maiop is, the main focus in this video is the Arostion. Yeah, I butchered the name. Upon discovery, the animal was given a size of 30 feet and 2 to 4 tons. However, the fossils were very fragmentary, and they have now been given a more conservative size of 6 to 8 meters and a little over a ton. These guys lived in South America during the late Cretaceous and would have been able to take on prey much larger than them, something akin to the way some mustelids can take down prey 3 to 4 times their size. Its jaws were definitely a formidable weapon and would have been more than enough to kill an adult human, but its claws were the main things you had to watch out for. Their claws are able to do the kind of stuff most people think the Seratosaurus claws were able to do, which is to disembowel targets with ease. As for intelligence, much isn't known about the group as a whole, but studies comparing it to theropods it may be closely related to depict them to have a similar intelligence to that of the Giganotosaurus or the Allosaurus. So not quite that on the level of a T-Rex or certain Dromaeosaurs, it's more than enough to allow it to track down and analyze its prey during a hunt. For us, however, there wouldn't be much to analyze. A 5'10" creature that smells like flowers, unless you're from Alabama. If it was the Arostion, it could catch up to you, and if you went through a small door, chances are that it will be able to follow you inside. The terrifying thing about this group is that even the largest member of the Maiop would probably be able to follow you through the average sized door, despite weighing more than a white rhinoceros. Unlike the scene in Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom where the Indoraptor took its sweet time in trying to eliminate the main cast, this family's members would finish the job much faster, and if this artwork is anything to go off of, it won't be a pretty end. While it's unlikely that a mature megaceropod like a T-Rex or Acrocanthosaurus would actively seek out humans, the juveniles would definitely see us as targets. As the largest of theropods get older, they get bulkier and as a result slower. Despite what the Jurassic franchise has depicted, most megatheropods couldn't run more than 80 miles per hour and had to keep at least 1 foot in the ground. Any faster and their femur would probably fracture under their immense weight. However, as juveniles, they couldn't yet bring down the large and dangerous prey items their adult counterparts are able to do, so they have to resort to smaller and faster prey. Juvenile T-Rex speed hasn't been that much studied on, but from a few bits of material I found, the lower estimates place their top speed at 70 miles per hour, while some say that they can push 20 in short bursts. Unlike most animals that kind of smell like their environment or have a specific scent profile that can't be exactly tracked sometimes, people usually have a loud scent profile. I'm not saying that in a bad way. I mean that we usually apply aromatics to our skin such as cologne and soap, and even if you don't apply any of those, shame on you if you don't by the way, your very clothes have their own unique smell after you wash them. Considering how quiet an adult Rex would be despite them being more than 9 tons, a juvenile would be more silent. It may have not perfected the art of ambush yet, but even when you see them and make a run for it, chances are that they could catch you if they're close enough. And if you're in the wilderness with no human settlements nearby to seek shelter, to call for help, it will track you down until you grow too tired to continue to run. For those of you saying you'll just run out of range, the T-Rex especially had a sense of smell many times that of a black bear, which can smell a half-eaten sandwich in a locked car from more than 3 miles away, so you can do the math when it comes to the Tyrannosaur. Regardless of what juvenile megaceropod it is, once it catches up to you, your death won't be a pleasant one. Even as a juvenile, the Rex still has a bite force strong enough to crush some of your bones, especially your hands. Whenever we are fighting for our lives, whether it be from a wild animal or other people, we use our hands as some sort of shield to block, but this shield would quickly be broken by a young Tyrannosaurus bite and torn to shreds by a Carcharodontosaurus. Once the self-defense is down, all that's left is for us to be torn apart without any way to fight back. The best thing you could have hoped for in an instance like this is for you to pass out from the blood loss before it goes for your jugular. The teenage versions of these animals sure would be a menace to us, but the adults would be too, if in areas with a lot of cover. I know I said they more than likely won't chase us down, but if the opportunity for an ambush comes up, best believe they're taking it and you're not making it. The next dinosaur is one Jurassic Park did a disservice to in the movie, but made up for it in some ways with the novel version. The paleo-accurate Dilophosaurus may have not been able to spit venom or have a frightening display like the one shown in Jurassic Park, but it sure was a hell of a lot bigger. The real Dilophosaurus was 22 feet long and almost 900 pounds, making it as big as a large male grizzly. The novels of this franchise actually have the animal's overall proportions correct. The only thing I could fault it on is it being able to spit venom. I never understood how that became a thing, by the way. I guess they found an animal with large crest on its head and tried to make it venomous or something? I don't know. For a while, believe it or not, a decent amount of people believed that this animal didn't have a strong bite because of how narrow its jaws were, which is just a wild take considering the theropod is bigger than Smokey. Earlier ranges of its bite force, but now with better reconstructions, the range has been pushed due to the robust anterior part of the lower jaw, with it possibly having a bite force exceeding 1100 newtons, which is solid when comparing its size and structure to that of larger theropods like the T-Rex. There was also a popular thread for a while on whether or not it can beat Usain Bolt in a 100-meter dash, and the results said that it couldn't. However, in a distance-related run, it would more than likely catch up to the Olympic sprinter. No other theropod we've mentioned so far has claws more suited to holding prey in place like this animal. A 90-kilogram human would be light work for this animal to overpower, because even if you try to hold its mouth, it can just pull away your hand and hold you down to finish you off. Not saying that it would be easy, because we are capable of doing some incredible things when our fight response kicks in, but even if you manage to keep its arms at bay, its long neck would allow for greater reach of your neck, and seeing how easily it is for most humans to bleed out, chances are that a person won't last long. The reason we'd be ideal food for this animal is that an adult human would be enough to fill this animal up while not requiring as much energy to take down. Overall, a pretty daunting animal to face, but the next dinosaur is probably the worst thing you could run into if you are out for a hike. I think all of you expected raptors at some point in time for this video, but they aren't the ones some of you expect. So the raptors most people talk about are from the Dromaeosauridae family, and this includes the Velociraptor, which is what some people would have thought I was going to mention, but actually no. The real Velociraptor was the size of a big turkey, and even though it's something most people probably wouldn't want to get into a fight with, I don't think a fairly strong person should have too much trouble dispatching one. As for the pack bonus, that's not confirmed either. A lot of findings lean more towards these animals being solitary hunters, instead of the pack hunting theropods most movies like Jurassic Park depict. Speaking of Jurassic Park, the raptors shown in most of those movies have a size more close to that of a very large Deinonychus or a small Austroraptor. At 150 kilograms, Ingen's creations were pretty big, but they were dwarfed by the largest dromaeosaur of them all, the Utahraptor. This is the largest dromaeosaur that we know of right now. There have been some fragmentary remains of another species that may have rivaled it in size, but that's not confirmed. These guys weighed more than 450 kilograms, which is double the size of a large male lion, and combined with that speed, it could reach a terrifying 22 miles per hour or more, which doesn't sound impressive, but for an animal that could weigh more than 1,000 pounds, that's a good feat. Although it probably isn't as fast as Usain Bolt at his top speed, it would still catch him eventually, because this animal would be able to keep up a pace of around 16-17 miles per hour even past the 200-meter mark, and at that point Bolt will be burnt out. Another terrifying thing is that this may have actually been a pack animal. In 2001, there was a fossil block found with Utahraptors of different sizes surrounding an iguanodont. This could indicate some sort of pack hunting behavior, or this could have been something similar to the Giganotosaurus and Mosasaurus, where it was a sort of feeding frenzies of different animals that were scavenging on the same animal, and they all died in the same location. So while not confirmed, there is a good chance that if you were to run into this thing, two more would have blocked off your escape. While it may have not had a bone-crushing bite like some of the other theropods at 1000 newtons or just under, it would be more than enough to tear you apart and bite your digits off as easily as you bite into a baby carrot. However, its bite wouldn't be the main thing you'd have to concern yourself with. If this animal were to kick you, it would lead to a deep cut more than 5 feet long. So if this Utahraptor was to land a kick on you from your chest, you would literally be split in the middle, with your inside spilling out like a piñata. Only instead of candy, its intestines and Burger King soaking on the floor. By the way, if you eat Burger King, what's wrong with you? Anyway, while not confirmed and very unlikely as a matter of fact, could you imagine this animal mimicking humans? While I don't think they would be able to form long sentences like parrots, there could be a possibility for them to form short outbursts like that of magpies and ravens, which can say some human words but they sound paused and very eerie. Imagine going for a hike and hearing, "Help me, help me, please no, help me," I don't know about you people, but this isn't Scooby-Doo and I'm not solving no mystery, so I'm booking it in the other direction. While it is a fun thing you could think about, it's very unlikely. I just thought about it after I saw an animation of one mimicking a baby's cry after it ate the infant and the parents found out. If any of you know the animator for that, please let me know. I can't find them. The good thing about humans to these animals would be that unlike their usual prey like the iguanodonts and the ankylosaurs, we don't have any armor or tough skin, so it's a win-win. So folks, that's just about it for this one. It reminded me of some of my vids I used to make about a year ago. By the way, there were more dinosaurs that I wanted to mention, but the video would have probably been 30 minutes or longer, and I couldn't complete a video that long in such a short period of time. However, if this video gets 2k likes, I'll do a part 2. Anyway guys, thanks for all the support. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and let me know if I should do more videos like this. I'll see you in the next upload.